Oh, hi there. I'm Kat. Thank you for joining me for Chat with Kat. We're going on a journey and having conversations with people from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. And during this journey, we're going to probably laugh and smile. We'll have moments of compassion and cry. We may be angry or feel confronted, and we may be amazed and just need to ponder. So, whatever the emotion is that comes up, let's take a moment to breathe and ask ourselves why we're feeling this. And also, let's ask, what can I learn from this? So go ahead and like, share, subscribe to this, and make sure that your friends and family and colleagues and anyone you feel could get something from this gets to see this. So let's get on with our journey with Chat with Kat. Hi, Hugo. It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining me here.
Thank you for having me.
I know we are in Self-Perfected and the Techno Tutor community with each other. I don't even know if we've actually met in person. So, a lot of people are joining us. Maybe some people know you, some people don't. So maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, of course. Well, first, again, thank you for having me. About myself, well, my name is Hector Hugo. Right. I'm from Mexico, originally from San Luis Potosí. I came to the United States when I was about 19. I'm 35, almost 36 now. And well, in reality, one of the important, or let's say that I will say is interesting about me, is that the journey to coming here to the United States, it's not been easy, right? I mean, completely from Mexico, right? And I never like I had any family over here, so coming here by myself the first time was an adventure. But then little by little, getting used to the customs and everything over here, meeting really amazing people like the ones that we know now. It's been great. But yeah, let's say it's like a mixture of cultures. That's what I'll say about me.
Okay. And what brought you to the US to begin with?
Originally, I came here because I wanted to play basketball, believe it or not. I'm not that tall. I'm 5'10", so
Okay.
right. But yeah, that was the original plan. I started in a community college in Houston, and I think I was alright, well, good enough to at least start playing over here. But then at some point, I realized that I wasn't going to live out of it. So I started hitting the books, and then I transferred to a university called Texas A&M, and actually finished school as an engineer. And then after that, just going on with my life here.
Oh, great. So, I mean, it's amazing when I hear people moving to other countries because, as you know, probably I moved to Mexico from Canada. So I did the opposite. I left where, and I went, I'm going to Mexico for a number of reasons. But when you got to the States and you started working as an engineer, what was it that brought you on a path of like getting you into, where you are now with, Self-Perfected and Techno Tutor and all that?
Well, that's interesting because originally, like I said, like I went to the engineering route. I got this idea of like what being an engineer was going to be like. You're supposed to be good with numbers. It's a good career. Then it's a safe career, let's say. But at some point, I realized that it was really, let's say, I realized that it wasn't really what I thought it was going to be. Right. The long hours, the constant stress of being like trying to perform, right? And at some point, yeah, I was limited by my employer at that time, by my employers at that time, right? Especially because I had a work visa. I realized that I had certain communication skills that would help me to get to where I needed to get. Then I realized that it wasn't really engineering was opening the doors for me. It was really my communication style, or like the way I will treat other people. So then I met a lot of people like me, right? Immigrants from Mexico, from other countries that wanted to come and really, let's say, go for the American dream, which is really come prosper.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that a lot of us weren't doing it. They didn't know how. And I realized that it was because of the communication part, like the
Mm.
communication skills. So that's why self-perfect the techno tutor, I got attracted to all of that because I felt that was the equalizer. It will work for me and it will work for a lot of people in my position. So that was the attractive part for me.
Mm. Okay. And so when was that you started getting into because it's been a while you've been in the community, right?
Yeah, it's been about, I want to say 2 years, not that long, 2 years more
Oh,
or less.
okay. Okay. I just sometimes it seems like I know people for so long just because we see each other so often on the weekly hangouts and things like that. So, um, or you hear other people talking in the community say, "Oh, you got to talk to this person because they do this or they know this or you know."
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah, originally it was because through, well, a friend of ours, Austin
mm-hmm,
Hale,
mm-hmm.
believe it or not, both of us wanted to be day traders somehow.
Oh, okay.
That's how I met him. I met him through a traders community, stocks, futures, all that type of stuff. And he was there, and then I think is when he joined the team at some point when he joined Self Perfected and Techno Tutor. And then, but I always felt like some type of connections. He was a really good communicator,
Mm-hmm,
so he reached out to me, and we started having a chat. And we always have. It seems like we have the same goals, so we connected on that. And then he introduced me to the tools, right? And once I started using the tools, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" Like just out of just pure English, it was great
mm-hmm,
because I realized that I knew English, or I thought I knew, right? But then I realized that I was still like translating a lot of stuff. I still have
mm-hmm,
my accent and everything, don't get me wrong, right? But um, I was still translating a lot of things. And when I
mm-hmm,
started using the tools, I realized that I wasn't translating anymore. I was just
mm,
talking, right? A lot of the things that I wanted to say in Spanish, I couldn't in English
mm,
because I didn't understand how to, well, I thought I did, but I didn't understand how to make the same point across.
mm-hmm,
And right. But basically, when I stopped translating and just thinking in English, I was able just to say my points and bring those points across without really thinking too much about it. Right. So I was like, this
mm,
is amazing. Now I want to know more. And I started reaching out to our friend Mayor.
mm-hmm,
Right. At some point, I was living in Dallas. He was living in Houston. And he gave me a lot of support without me really trying to bog him too much. He was just like
mm-hmm,
a really good person. And I was like, okay, no, there's more to it. Like we need to help people with this. So
mm.
then I moved to Houston, and here I am with him and with the team.
Oh, that's great. I love that you've been able to actually learn a language and start, using it and thinking in it and not just, at the communication where I'm still translating. And because I know Spanish is my third language I'm learning. So I
Right.
learned, English was first, and then I learned French because in Canada I went to late French immersion in school. So that was grade 6 we went in. So we had to learn everything in grade 6 and 7. They learned from, kindergarten, grade 1 in French.
Mm-hmm.
So we could go to high school and be with the same kids, right? But who
Yeah.
started early. So, there's a point where, I mean, that was 2 really hard years every single day, 8 hours a day in school, learning a language and learning the grammar and everything. And there was a point where I remember actually thinking in French,
Mm-hmm.
which was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now at the time you're like, okay, now I made it. Now I haven't used really French in a long time. So you do lose it. But, it's amazing that you say that you just using the tools actually started helping you to think in the language.
Yeah.
So,
No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. It was to me, it was incredible just because I thought I knew. That's the thing. I always, with my friends, I used to tell this joke, right? That I would tell them, you know what, y'all think I know English, but I don't really know it. I just memorize phrases from movies and I will
mm-hmm,
say them. It sounds like I know. And everybody was like, oh yeah, that's funny, whatever. But then the more I thought about it, that was actually true. Like I will, like from whatever I consume, I would just pick phrases that I would think they're funny or that they will apply. And I
mm-hmm,
was just used to it. It wasn't really that I knew
mm,
English in general, right? And I don't know if you can relate to this since you speak another language too, is that you can have a really passionate conversation about
Mm-hmm.
like a certain topic. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a point when you get like, or really emotional, it can be out of anger, out of happiness, out of everything, and your mind just goes to the original language. Or
Mm-hmm.
like Hispanic people will understand when I said this, like when like you get upset, like you start like get like almost wanted to scream, but in Spanish, like you don't really can't scream in English or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? That was the emotional point. Like once you get to that emotional point, you revert back to what you know, like to your programming. But
Mm-hmm.
when I started using the tools and everything, not to say that now I can speak, I can scream in English, right? But when the conversation get to those like deep points, deep conversation, it can be like either emotional or just like something really intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually think in English and not having to translate. Because a lot of people will understand this. Sometimes, well, if you see, I'm gonna stick with Hispanic because that's what I know, right? But
Mm-hmm.
there's people that say that there's a lot of Hispanic people that are really smart, and everybody has that little thing like, oh, just if they know English, they will kill it here. They will do this. It
Mm-hmm.
was like, but we said like, well, it's like I wish I would have learned it when I was little because it's when like everybody can learn it, whatever. But if they knew that with the
Mm-hmm.
tools you can reopen your natural learning ability and then actually learn like the same way you learned when you were little, everybody
Mm.
will be using because English,
Mm.
and it's not just for it's I've seen it in my experience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like English is the language of money. Is the
Mm.
language that opens a lot of possibilities for you as an immigrant. For example, there's a
Mm.
lot of processes that we don't understand legal here.
Mm-hmm.
As that if we just knew English like the right way, we
Mm-hmm.
could do them ourselves. There's a
Mm.
it's not just a language. It's like a code to being
Mm.
successful. For example, in this country in America.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. And that's interesting that you say that. I mean, I think a lot of us have heard like English is the language of money or business, right? Internationally, it's like the language of business. But hearing you say that, even getting, doing things in the States where it's like, oh, it's easier to do this if I just had the language. And once I learn the language, now it's not such a big process or such a big thing to do, right? Where it's, I mean, yeah, being in Mexico, it's still like, all the, as all the documents, everything's official in Spanish, right? And even in a tourist place like where I am, like in Cabo, there's still a lot of Spanish, right? And everything still legally is in Spanish. It's like, it's a courtesy if they put anything in English,
Yeah.
because they don't have to. And I don't think they should either, right? Like, I don't think whatever country you move to, they should have to try to, make the foreigners feel like the same, right? Like, I think if you go to another country, you should try to make an effort to learn some of the language, even if you have a really strong community there, right? But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, no, I agree.
yeah, it's just getting used to it too. Because I'm trying, I work on my Spanish every day. I talk to
Mhm,
people. I haven't really tried to dive deep in with TechnoTutor in the Spanish yet, only because when I did try it,
mhm,
the computers I used, the language for the Spanish, the accent was so terrible because I knew the
mhm,
proper way to say something, and I just
mhm.
was like, I couldn't do it. I was like, I don't know if honestly this will work because I just can't even get through the hearing it part, right? So
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'll have to try again. But yeah, it's interesting when you talk about that. But when you talk about communication was something that you thought was something that you really had a good that you were good at communicating, right? And you
Mhm.
realize, do you think that has something to play in part with how the culture is that you're used to, like in Mexico? Because I find it is different. It's much more of a community base. It's much more of, you build a relationship first with people before you start really talking business with people, right? I
Mhm.
find that's kind of a process. And foreigners don't really get that because we're so much like, okay, let's get to the point, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But do you find that really helped you in the States with what you're doing with business or with talking with people, or?
Well, in reality, I don't really think it was the culture per se, but you're right. Like we do more of that. Like you kind of become friends a little bit before start talking about business. But I think it came from my environment growing up. I think the
Mm,
environment growing up, if you're surrounded by good communicators in a way, you kind of as a kid you start to get that flow when it becomes unconscious, you become unconsciously competent to do things,
Mm.
right? Because I never thought, I mean, I honestly, I didn't know I was good at communicating until I started getting the results. I just thought
Mm.
everybody was good at that, right? And
Mhm.
then, but then you get to a level when you realize, oh yeah, I was good, but I'm not good for this next step. And
Mm.
that's like when I started using Technotutor, and it got me to the next step, right? So yeah, like part of it, I will say not necessarily the culture, but well, culture is part of the environment. So I will
Mhm.
agree. But I think is that to be surrounded since you're little by that, right?
Mm.
Because sometimes like a lot of the culture can be. I'm not saying this is for everybody, but a lot of the culture is like, shut up, don't talk right now. Like
Mm.
I'm the adult, I'm talking, right?
Mhm.
And that doesn't really allow you to express yourself then when you grow up. Because then I saw a lot of people in my same shoes, right? We were studying the same thing.
Mhm.
And I mean, they didn't maybe like even get better grades than me,
Mm.
but because they didn't have that communication part, or there was
Mhm.
just the biggest thing too, like you can read all the books in the world, right? All the
Mhm.
lessons, all the English lessons and everything. But if you're
Mhm.
afraid of speaking it,
Mhm.
like you actually know it, right? So that was one of the biggest things that actually the community and Technotutor and everything helped me, because it wasn't just about learning the language and then just being able to say it. It was
Mm.
removing those points of like maybe shame, or maybe getting nervous, like maybe saying some stuff that are not correct, right? Like the
Mhm.
accent. With the
Mhm.
group, we always kid around because the way I say job, I have to think about it, because I say job,
Mhm.
right? I don't think about it.
Right.
Right? That's part of the training. That's part of like removing that. For example, and I can attest to this. If they wouldn't make that joke about me, like saying the J like that back in the
Mhm.
day, I would
Mhm.
have shut up. Would be like, you know what? I'm not even gonna talk to y'all anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but because like it's about like pushing each other in a good way, right? Like
Mhm.
it's a joke, but still like it comes with a little bit of truth. Like it's better if I develop a better action, a better this. Like what? Because what I'm trying to accomplish, I'm trying to really help people to get to the real American dream, right?
Mhm.
Because when somebody like me, or like every other person that comes to the States, we come for a reason, right? Because we leave our family behind. We
Mhm.
leave everything that we know behind. And
Mhm.
to be honest, I don't think we come here just to get more problems. I don't think it's totally respectable. Everybody has
Yeah.
their own, right, what they have to do. But I
Mhm.
don't think American dream has come here to just survive. I think we
Right.
came here to prosper,
Mhm.
right? If we really want to come here and prosper, like learning English, removing these emotional points are going to allow you to do that,
Mhm.
then I would love to help people do that, because it's
Mm.
working. And I'm not even like you said, I'm 2 years in. So in like 5, 10 years, I don't know where I'm going to be. But I want to
Wow.
bring people with me. Not, I don't want to do it by myself.
Yeah. That's amazing that you have that vision already. It's like this, so you're very clear on like, what I want to do and how I want to help people, and it's so specific too, because I think not everyone is going to have that same vision, right? As obviously, they have different life experiences and things, um, but really holding on to like this is the American dream, and we could actually create it, right?
Mhm.
And being supportive in that with people. Um, because I know a lot of people, even in the States, who are born, raised Americans, don't see the American dream anymore, right? Uh, so actually being able to hold true of it, like say, no, this can be accomplished, and I have a way that, and a community to support me with this, and that let me help other people. I
Yeah,
think that's fantastic. So,
yeah, yeah. It took me a little bit to figure out what my part on this was, but
mm-hmm,
I think that's it, because I've seen it with people that I'm supporting now, and I've seen the same results. I'm like, we can all do this, right?
mm-hmm,
It's about like improving your vocabulary, like the real way, removing emotional points, create
mm-hmm.
emotional stability, and then from there, like you create a family. Like if you were to ask me probably 10 years ago, if I was gonna get married, I would say like, I'm not sure. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Now like I'm married, like everything's going well. Obviously, with there's still like problems, but now you know what the funny thing is, like there's still problems, but now I'm not afraid because I can understand how to figure out a solution.
Mm.
It's just stuff that I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
because my learning ability is increasing, I can see, okay, I just need to learn this and then figure it out. Instead of
Mm.
like, I don't know what I'm doing. Let me just resort to talk to somebody that knows. And
Right.
that's really empowering.
So when you said you never, you weren't sure if you would get married and now you are married, what led you to that change of going, yeah, no, I don't know if I will, to like, yeah, I think this is something I want to do.
I think the biggest thing is, well, I wouldn't say the biggest thing, but I would say is again, not necessarily blaming it on the culture, but I'm I'm 35, about to be 36. So when I was growing up, like it's not like marriage was like the thing that everybody will like aim for. You
Mm.
wanted more like be cool or like being popular, or it wasn't like really a priority. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, like at some point I will get married. But then I've seen, for example, the example of my parents. I saw that wasn't something that I did see from them, that I always saw them working as a team.
Mm.
Regardless of whatever they were going through, they work as a team. So in my
Mm.
programming, I want to say is like that's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
The funny thing is like I didn't know about I didn't really think about the getting married, but I always thought about having kids for some reason, which you know. But I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, if I want to have kids and I want to create a better life for them, well, I can't do it by myself. But I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
could, but it'd be way more effective to do it with a partner. Like, okay, so what type of partner?
Mm-hmm.
And my is the best partner that I could have like wished for.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like I even tell her that I feel like if I would have like typed her on a computer, I would have created her, right? That's what I was looking for. And now with 2 years married, almost three, and
Mm-hmm.
really we're doing really good right now. And but I will say the importance of getting married. I'll tell you like from the man perspective or my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we as men have a potential, right? We have a lot of potential, but well, what I feel sometimes we don't understand because the culture doesn't help us understand it is that we have a second gear, a third gear.
Mm-hmm.
The second gear you really activated once you get married because we're programmed to provide.
Mm-hmm.
So once you're married, when it's like psychologically, you're this person is gonna depend on you. You're gonna provide for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you do things like your potential just increased. You start seeing your potential. You start making more money out of nowhere. You started like being more disciplined. You started, but you don't really consciously do it. You just do it because
Mm-hmm.
that's the jing over jang, if you want to say it like that, right?
Yeah.
And then I talked to my parents and they said like when you have a kid, it's even more. Like there's the second, third, fourth gear, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to provide. We're supposed to um, yeah, like provide, bring food, bring comfort, bring safety to our families.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like a lot of, and I say because I was on that point, that a lot of young people don't see the value of getting married
Mm-hmm.
at least as a man, but then they don't realize that those subconscious points exist within you. And once
Mm.
you get access to them, of course, if you find the right partner and
Mm-hmm.
that you have the same values, the same principles, you can achieve way more than what you think you can achieve alone.
Mm. So it's so really, I mean, having that the right foundation and principles and tools with the right person. Obviously, I mean, all that takes work, but it's not just like a one-on-one anymore on the energy and what you're able to produce now and the results you get now, right? Is actually is even greater than 1 + 1, really, right?
Hmm.
It's
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And how can I say this? Is like it's like working as, like I said, it's working as a team, right? I have
Mhm.
task, I have a job, I
Mhm.
know what I'm gonna do, and we're really clear in what our task and jobs are,
Mhm.
right? Just operate as that, right? That doesn't mean that there's no conflict. There's conflict from time to time, but because we have the tools and the values and the principles, we can always
Mhm.
address. Because at the end of the day, what we're doing is to do what's best for our
Mhm.
family, for everybody else, right?
Mhm.
So have that goal in mind. So we make our decisions based on that. And that includes a lot of like talking, a lot of sometimes
Mhm.
debating, sometimes
Mhm.
like my point, sometimes taking a break and then come back to the point, right?
Mhm.
So it takes work basically. But I don't
Yeah.
think anything that is worth it comes easy.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, if it came easy, everybody would just, I mean, if things in life just came easy, I think people wouldn't really value it when they had it, right? I mean, at least that's what I feel like. Like, just take, for example, anytime you have a free offer, somebody gives you something for free, do you really value it that much because it was for free, or do you value it even if you paid $5 for it? Like, you probably value it a little bit more if you paid $5 or $10 for something, invested something into it, right? So,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's is that. Yeah, we're wired like that. Like if somebody gives you something free, you just, I mean, it didn't cost you anything. But if
hmm
you create a company, if you create whatever, like I feel like we're meant to create. Like
hmm
once we create something, like we want to defend it with everything we got.
yeah,
And if you have principles and you have values, like, well, your creation is gonna produce something good,
hmm
right? So like it's worth to defend it.
And you're both working in with Techno Tutor together, or is it sort of like one you're doing it more, and how's that working?
Well, I'm doing it more, and she's a stay-home wife,
Mm-hmm.
right? So she supported me on that, basically helping me. Everything else is in control. She's the manager of the house, right? So
Yeah.
everything is in control. I don't. So, but now since I don't have that excuse that I need to do something around the house, now it's like I need to perform, right?
Mm,
She got that taken care of. Therefore, I need to do my side, and is
right.
to go, do the work, do the business, help people, bring them
Mm-hmm.
right, provide, so I can be present for her too.
Yeah. And you're both using the tools then together, or?
Yes, we're both using it. Yeah, we started a little at the beginning, right? It's like everything at the beginning. You don't know how much of a powerful tool you have until you start like seeing the results.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more like you start with a little bit, it's like, oh, I'm getting a little better. I can read a little faster, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
then you start seeing everything that you can accomplish with it, and then you just become obsessed. It's like I want more. I want to do more. I want to help people with this because they're like, I think it's something that everybody should have in their house. Like everybody has a necessity for it if they know how to use it and they actually use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, if you think about it, like everybody, I think almost everybody has a phone nowadays, right?
Hmm.
A cell phone. And look at how much you rely on it. Like you just, oh, I'll Google this, I'll look up this, you just go to that all the time to look at it. And I don't really know that people are learning anymore, right? They know how to search for something, but I don't know that they actually learn anything. Like, do they hold that information later on? If, 5 minutes from now, do they hold that information? Um,
Yeah, yeah, because like there's really no necessity for it in their eyes. I don't think
mhm,
it's the right thing, but it's like, well, and then also like we take whatever AI or whatever Google tell us for truth. So there's
mhm,
not really like critical thinking. So it's
mhm,
the same thing like when you go to school and they tell you, well, this is the reason, like they're taking an exam, right?
mhm,
I was having that conversation with my wife earlier. It's like if you go by a school, right, and you go and study, and then you open a book, and for whatever thing the book is telling you, you disagree. You're like, well, this doesn't really make sense.
mhm,
But if you want to pass the exam, you need to put the answer that the book is giving you,
mhm.
even though you don't agree with it and you can see flaws on it. You
Right.
still need to put it if you want to pass.
Mhm.
So you condition yourself to not question stuff. Like, okay, then I just want to pass. I just want to keep moving on, right? So I'm just gonna do this. But that critical thinking goes away, and I think
Mm-hmm.
it's the same thing with Google with AI. Like they're amazing tools. Don't get me wrong; they're really good tools. But
Mm-hmm.
if like hammer is a good tool, but if you try to if you have to like get a hammer in order to, I don't know, like unscrew something. I mean, use a screwdriver instead of a
Mm-hmm.
hammer, right? Pick the right
Mm-hmm.
tool. But if you're using it for everything, well, you're really like abusing the hammer itself, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not using it for what it is. So it's
Yeah.
the right tool for the right job. So AI, Google, yeah, everything is great, but if you're just let them think for you, I think that's where the danger is.
Mm-hmm. So then how do you get people to start learning how to think again? Because I think there's a whole generation that doesn't even really know how to think on their own.
Yeah, well, I think it all comes down to the vocabulary part, right? I think if you actually um, study, especially Johnson O'Connor research, like
Mm-hmm.
whoever's listening, go and figure out who that guy is.
Mm-hmm.
It really explain why people that have like a more effective vocabulary actually have are more successful in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Process more information. They're able to question more things. They're able to read stuff and be like, well, that doesn't really make sense. But it's because they have a higher vocabulary. They can see that things don't make sense
Mm-hmm.
and start thinking why they don't make sense. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can just read like a first grade level, it's like, well, yeah, whatever. That's fine. I believe you. Basically, you put that source as the authority. Therefore, you
Mm-hmm.
just believe whatever they tell you. Right?
Mm.
It's kind of like your parents used to tell you, "Do good, do it because I said so."
Right.
But there's
Yeah.
no like explanation behind it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's fine, I won't do it, but why? Like just explain me why. So
Mm-hmm.
from there you start training. But if you're using the tools and you understand how like increasing your vocabulary actually helps you to develop critical thinking, that's when you start like questioning things and start thinking more. And honestly, like you get ahead in life.
Mm.
Like since I started using the tools, like I made a huge like jump to the point when, like I said originally, I started as an engineer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that that's not what I wanted to do, and I started using the tools. And guess what? The more vocabulary you read faster, and
Mm-hmm.
then what's something that immigrants need to learn about law, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
started reading about law. I started reading about immigration. So to the point when I'm also helping an immigration lawyer to help people get their situation together,
Mm-hmm.
right? People come and talk to me like, how do you know that much? It's just like you just started studying as well. If you can read faster, you can process information, and then just reading and applying, reading and applying. That's all it
Mm-hmm.
is. So like those jumps are jumps that everybody can do. That you
Mm.
just develop that part, and we have the tools to do it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not.
So do you think that people who don't like reading it's directly to the fact that they don't have a lot of words then? They don't really understand? Because I mean, because there's like I grew up reading all the time. I love reading, right? It was just in my
Mhm.
house that was I mean, I wasn't allowed to watch TV. So it was like you're allowed 1 hour a week, so go do something else. What would I do? I'd go read. So but I have a number of friends who hate reading. They can't pick up a
Mhm.
book, to save their life they wouldn't pick up a book, right? So I just wonder, like, is that having to do with maybe not understanding words or having a good vocabulary? I don't know.
I think so, and I'm pretty sure it is. The reason why, and I'm going back to why they hate it, right?
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, do you like to dance, Cat, in general?
Yes, I do love to dance.
Like, well, for example, like me and my wife met each other like dancing salsa, right?
Nice.
And like one thing that people can relate is that when you go to one of these, let's call them clubs, when
Hmm.
they're playing salsa, they're playing this type of music, and everybody's dancing with each other, and you don't know how to dance, you don't know one move,
Hmm.
how would you think you feel? You're
Yeah.
nervous, you're awkward, right? Like, why would I want to go there again? Like, I don't like it. But
Hmm.
then you learn that one basic move. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, now it's like we can go, and then you learn one, you learn two, three moves, and then now you become robotic, right? But now you can actually do two, three patterns together. Like, okay, now I want to go, now I want to do it more, and then all of a sudden you're inventing your own like spins and turns or whatever, and now you love doing it. Why? Because you're
Mm-hmm.
good at it. So I think
Mm-hmm.
like those dance moves, let's call them, those are your
Mm-hmm.
vocabulary, those are your words. The reason
Mm-hmm.
why you like reading is because you don't know the words. If you
Mm-hmm.
were good at it, you will want to do it all the time. But
Right.
that's a kind of hard pill to swallow for a lot of people. It's like to
Yeah.
understand you don't like to do stuff just because you're not good at it. But at the same time, they need to understand that you can become good at it with the right
Mm-hmm.
tools, the right guidance, with the right support, and then you will
Mm-hmm.
love reading. I used to hate reading. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't see it. But now like I can read. Like I now to get to the point when I'm reading law. Law is one of the
Yeah.
most boring things ever. But now I'm like I can just read it all day
Mm-hmm.
because now I learn how to read.
Yeah. And I think that they actually use language when they do law to purposely try to trip you up in certain things. Like, I don't think, because I mean, I like to read. I would say I have a good vocabulary. Obviously it's getting better with, using the tools. But I've gone through some documents with like taxes and things like this where I'm like, oh, I should be able to do this myself. Right. And I read
Mhm.
through the whole thing and I go through it several times and I'm like, I think they're asking these questions in a way to purposely trip you up to make a mistake.
Yeah, like sometimes it can feel like that. But I guess if everybody had the same level of vocabulary, if we're all equal at that point, then we wouldn't feel like that. It's like, oh, it's a document that says this,
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
you just apply this, right? If it's right or
Yeah.
it's wrong, well, that's another question for another time topic, right? But
Right.
at least read it. Like if we have the same vocabulary, because somebody wrote it,
Mm-hmm.
somebody that know what that means wrote it. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, you just need to equalize your vocabulary to whoever wrote it to understand what they're saying, and that way
Mm.
you feel like they're tricking you.
Yeah. Yeah. So that just made me think like I could actually take one of these documents and go bit by bit into and use the tools with it and go, okay, do I really understand what's going on here?
Yeah, exactly. And actually, there's a part on the tools that is the all law vocabulary. So
Yeah.
like I use that, and it's like okay, like it makes it easier. Like, but now
Yeah.
you at least know where to look for the answers to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you think has like been, I mean, some of the obviously the language and the vocabulary has been a huge change for you, but has there been anything else in your life that's really changed um, since you've been doing this work or since you just even really started looking at different things in a different way?
Yeah, I think the biggest, no, well, one of the biggest, including that, it's all together, it's all encompassed together. But I think one of the biggest thing also is emotional stability. Um, I had, and I don't know about, I'm assuming a lot of people, like a lot of men have this, that uh, we think like being emotionally stable is just suppress everything,
Mm,
or like uh, men don't cry but they get angry, right?
mm,
That's what. But in reality, it's like emotional stability is like to be able to see the feeling and decide if it's the right thing to do or not.
mm-hmm,
Like that's freedom, and that's something that I've been experiencing with the tools, with the group, with everything. Is since I was growing up, I always wanted freedom, but then I
mm-hmm,
realized what my definition of freedom was, and one thing that I started understanding is that freedom is being able to pick what's best at any given point, to the
mm,
point when your thoughts become opinions.
mm-hmm,
It doesn't matter what your mind is throwing at you, you can still decide if that's the best thing to do,
mm,
right? Not every time that you hear something in your voice is like, oh, that's how I feel, therefore I'll do, right?
mm-hmm,
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's an opinion. That's what it's saying right now, but that's clearly not what I'm supposed to be doing. And
mm-hmm,
that's the biggest benefit that I've been experiencing tools and with the group, right? Because it's actual freedom,
mm,
actual deciding what to do, right? And to be honest, I think those are the three main components: the emotional stability that
Mm-hmm.
the group and the tools that we just teach you how to do, and also the support, like being part of the community. Because one of the things that I've noticed too is that sometimes when you're really stressed, you tend to isolate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm lucky enough that I'm in Houston. We will have a big community here,
Mm-hmm.
and I can always go in person with them and talk things out,
Mm-hmm.
and they can do the same thing. So that's one of the biggest things, like having a community, like a local community that you can talk stuff to. Because
Mm-hmm.
believe me, sometimes the things that you tell to yourself in your mind, they're not always the best things. You
Mm-hmm.
sometimes need to have a mirror, like have a partner, have a community where you can be confident enough and you trust them enough so they can tell you, I'm looking at this. Do you see the same thing? Am I missing something? And they
Mm-hmm.
can give you their points of views. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the cool part about the community, because it's about support, not necessarily help. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they will, at least here in Houston, it's not like I will do it for you,
Mm-hmm.
but I will help you see what you're trying to see and see if
Mm-hmm.
it's better, right? But it's not like, oh yeah, what you're thinking is wrong. Come over here, I'll show you. No, it's more, hey, let's talk about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. And then at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, it's still your decision. Like, you're still the one making the decision.
Right.
So
Yeah.
community is huge.
Yeah. And I think that's something that, I mean, until I got really with the group and, really understood, because I think for a while there, I mean, I knew some people very close, like Elisa and Avery, right? I knew
Mhm.
them very well. And so obviously I was a lot more comfortable with them. But I think as a whole, when I met people, I didn't really know them outside. I've seen them on our meetings, right? But I hadn't seen them in person before. And I think I was very much guarded at the time too, when I was meeting some of these people, because I, I was from a, experience where people weren't genuinely caring and supportive, right? So there'd be this front saying like they'd be helpful and supporting you. Oh, if you need anything, let me know. And then when you actually did need help, they weren't there.
Yeah.
So I think I had kind of that guard up, because I wasn't sure, like, was this group really the supportive group that people actually said they were, or was this just kind of a front where, oh, they're supportive, but you need something, they're not there for you, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
but it really is a supportive community, and I can't tell you how many people I've just been able, even just being in Mexico, being able to reach out to somebody and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or, hey, help me with this. Or, hey, I've got some things here. Can and somebody said that you might have some good ideas about this. Like, I can't tell you how great it's been to actually have that support in that
Mhm.
regard. So, really is a true community, not like,
Yeah.
what we maybe we're used to in some cultures. So,
Yeah, I think it's the whole thing about, well, whatever community you're in, like, we all agree on the same thing, but it's really hard to find a community where, like, they will listen to you, you
mm-hmm,
will listen to them, and then try to figure it out together.
mm-hmm,
It's more like, this is what it is, shut up. In this community, it's not like that. It's more like,
yeah,
okay, where are you coming from? What have you
mm-hmm,
considered this? Have you seen this? It's
mm-hmm,
not really trying to convince, at least in my experience, it's not really trying to convince anybody to anything. It's more like, this is what it is,
mm-hmm,
and if we figure it out, like, you
mm-hmm,
can figure it out. And we'll support you to figure it out. Well, you
mm-hmm.
have to figure it out.
Yeah, you got to figure it out, like it or not, right?
Yeah, little by little.
Yeah, and I don't think people realize, especially, I mean, from Canada, US, we live in such a separate lives. Like, it's very much like separation, right? You get to 18, 19, 20, you move out of your house, you're on your own, you get your own apartment, you go get a job or go to school or whatever you're doing, and it's very individual, right?
Mhm.
Your whole family is separate, and it's, I mean, even here in Mexico, I mean, you might have taken advantage of the fact that you have a community down here, but I don't think maybe you don't realize, maybe you do, but it really is much more community feel here, even with the people. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who have offered me help, or, been friendly or doing something that I would never have gotten in Canada, just because that's who they are, right? They're just caring people. They're community, family focused, right? But it's, I mean, I think, like I would never have had on a busy bus having a complete stranger hold things for me, or having someone, even in Canada nowadays, like people do not get up off their seat and give it to you, right? 12-year-old boys will sit there looking at you like with your arms full of stuff, and they won't help you. So just those little things, or helping you as an Uber, helping you to your door with an Uber driver. I mean, they'd be in Canada, they'd be down the road before the door's even closed, right? So never mind trying to help you. If so I can't tell you. And when I had a broken leg here, and just the support I had of people, I'll go to the store, I'll go to the market for you. What do you need? Like, checking in on me every day to make sure I was okay, and making sure I was, not getting too sad or anything, right? It was just different here. And I noticed, I would not have gotten that in Canada, at least with my immediate surroundings.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, what part of Mexico are you in?
Cabo San Lucas.
Oh, yeah. No, I did. And like I grew up over there. I grew up in San Luis Potosí. I was there for 19 years. And having the perspective of two, I think Mexico has some of the smarter, most hardworking people that I've ever met. The only thing that we need to learn, in my eyes, is learn how to work together. So I don't feel like we work together. We have the potential to do it. I would say it's more, being from there, I think is more like ego driven, right? Sometimes it's easier to be friendly and to help a foreigner than, that doesn't mean don't help the foreigner. Right? That doesn't mean that, but I feel like we see each other like that, not just because you're not from Mexico, but it's like wherever you're from, and we can work together like that. Like Mexico will be like a paradise, really. Like it's full with really good people. And, and that way I bet a lot of more of us would have stayed.
Well, I think there's a number of reasons why a number of people leave Mexico, but
that's cool.
Yeah. But and as they say, the grass is always greener on the other side. I don't know if you know, that's a saying in English. It's like you always want what you don't have, right? So you see somebody else with something, and you go, "Oh, that's got to be better than what I have here." So
yeah. But what's funny? Talking about like programming and how like you were raised. That's a real funny, let's call it, phenomenon that I'm seeing. So like I said, like I'm trying to help more like the Hispanic community and all that. So a lot of people come here asking for asylum, right? Because the countries like, call it Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, they're being persecuted or crimes or whatever. So they come to America, and then when I talk to them, they encounter the same things here. So there's something in the, I want to say, in the resonance or something, that we tend to find the same thing that we're escaping from. Like there's really not escape from it. Like you create it. I'm not blaming them. No, it's not blame.
no.
It's more like a responsibility of your environment, right? And I think like once you become more emotionally stable and you're able to see things for what they are, you're like, okay, I don't want to be here. I need to figure out a way to fix my situation, not just escape from one, right? Because that thing, since it's like internal, like you're gonna keep creating it. And that's one thing that I'm starting to realize, that the more you fix yourself internally and your programming, your outside starts changing. And if you do it, the same thing that you're escaping from, you start creating around you again, which is really interesting. And I started to notice it a little bit ago.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because we take on everything from our environment, right? As babies and children, we just take it all in, and we don't know if this belief system or if this, set of way of living is the right way. We're told this is, and so we just take
Mm-hmm.
it on, right? Um, but yeah, then that causes problems for us as we get older, because then we keep bringing those same things into our lives, and then yeah, you're right. You're like, we don't know how to fix it. We're like, well, why does this keep happening? I changed this thing. I changed this job. I changed this relationship, but this thing is still
Yeah,
happening. With this new job or this new relationship, or right.
exactly. See, like you see it too. Like that's a good point. Like I see it in like we're talking about countries, right? Like moving from one country to the other, but it can happen in relationships. It's like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
why I keep dating this type of girl, this type of man. It's like, well, at some point, there's something that you're doing because they all
Mm-hmm.
happen to be exactly the same, right? The same
Right.
thing with jobs, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna go to this better job, right? And then you start complaining about the same things that you were complaining in the first job.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point, you already had 5, 10 jobs, and they
Mm-hmm.
all happen to be the same. They all happen to have the same problem. And then when we start looking internally, again, it's not blame. It's just literally just figuring out what's going on within you.
Mm-hmm.
You can change that, but it starts from the inside. Like what's
Yeah.
really your programming doing for you?
Mm-hmm. And I think, one of the things I, I mean, it's not regret. It's just a reflection, really. Is like, I've had these tools for so long, and I wish
Hmm.
I'd really done the work early on,
Hmm.
because I did what I call surface level. So I would do some of the stuff, but I wasn't going deep into it. And I
Yeah.
really wish I had, because I know there's a lot of things I kept bringing up in my life and kept happening in my life over and over again, that had I just done the work like really on a deep level from the start and really understood it, there would have been different outcomes for sure. Right. Now, would I be in Mexico? Maybe not, right? So, I mean,
Hmm.
obviously, I think there was a reason I ended up in Mexico. I do think there was a purpose of me coming here.
Hmm.
Um, you know, so maybe I had to go through all that stuff to get to this point, so I actually could find my purpose and say, okay, now I'm very clear. But
Hmm.
also, I think, just relationships would have been different, and maybe career choices would have been different, and how it was showing up
Yeah.
would have been different, right? So yeah, definitely, it's one of those things. But I just, when I first got this, I really didn't understand. Like, I understood okay, it's supposed to help me with on as an educational tool, but I really couldn't see how it was going to help on the internal stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then when I did realize it, I didn't want to face it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's another point. I walked through that too. Yeah, it's really understanding on that point because at the beginning I felt kind of the same way. I was like, oh, if I would have known, I would have. But I feel like that's the experience that a lot of people have.
mm,
I think one of the things is understanding what really consistency is, right? Because I don't know about you, but we tend to do we tend to say this to ourselves, like I'm going all in, so I'm gonna do 3 hours of techno tutor and all of this and a bunch of stuff, right? But it's like, well,
yeah.
but hold on, like you have you ever done 3 hours of anything, right? Anything, right? So it's like, okay, let's start like do like one thing that actually Mayor brought up that was really cool is like, okay, let's assume is your worst day. You have
Mm,
enough days, right, that you can see what's the worst day out of like a month or a week.
mhm.
Okay. So how much techno, how much DT can you do in the worst day?
Right.
3 words. Do three,
Right.
do 3 words, and that's just your worst day, right? So it means
Mhm.
that your best day you can do a little bit more, or at least three,
Mhm.
right? So just do that for a month and see where you at. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, and then you start realizing, okay, you raise the bar a little bit, and then
Mhm.
you start going right. But like, is this thing that we try to go like all in, and
Mhm.
we don't really understand what all in means, right? And then you just create more in like instability within you. And now, like
Yes.
you said, like you started with all those points of emotion that if I'm not gonna do all in, why would I do it? Or
Mhm.
like there should be a better way, or like no, just stay consistent, little by
Mhm.
little, by little,
Yeah.
right? Like we have same 24 hours. Like is believe me, like in 3 years, three years are gonna pass regardless.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use just 3 years and just use the tool consistently, or 3 years without using it. But I bet if you use it for those 3 years, your life is going to be like way better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think consistency is key for pretty much anything, right? I mean, if you're consistently trying to on a good working on something in a good way, not on a bad way. If you're doing the same
Mhm.
bad habits all the time, that's not the good thing. But if you're consistently trying to improve on something, or correct a bad habit, or learn something new, I think if you're just doing a little bit every day, you're going to get there, right? Because I can't tell you how many times I try to do something and I go, really focused on it for a long time, and then I burn out. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's funny. That's actually really interesting too, because we tend to say it like burnout, because I experience it too, right?
mm-hmm,
And then you start seeing that maybe working like that, and like you can ask, like whoever's watching this, you can ask more, like if you reach out to any of us, but you realize that a lot of the things that you cannot do, either like handle a lot of work
mm-hmm,
or learning a different language or whatever, is because you have a lack of vocabulary on that particular subject.
mm,
So basically, you just need to develop the vocabulary on that subject, let's say in the working hard, or in the persistency, on
mm-hmm,
the uh, I don't know, like everything that is like languages, whatever it is. You just need to develop the vocabulary and really integrate it, and then you become good at that thing, which is
mm,
really, it sounds really simplistic, but like I said, if like they reach out and we have a conversation, like we can go more in depth into that.
mm-hmm,
Really, the key. Like it sounds so simple that I didn't really understand it either. It was like, oh, wait, yeah, you just learn the words of this and then you apply them, and if it
mm-hmm.
doesn't work, integrate more, and then you apply them again. And so it's really cool. Like it's actually really cool.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering, like, you're working with a lot more Hispanic people now, right? With
Hmm.
this, or so are you using a lot more, like, are you integrating Spanish with the English because maybe they don't have the understanding of English yet, to try to help them with some of the steps forward, or?
Yes, the biggest thing, right? Because I'm in Houston, so the
Mm-hmm.
biggest thing that we focus on is learning English because we're
Okay.
here, right?
Right.
That's the biggest thing. But for example, some of the things, talking about programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And um, talking about programming, a lot of the words that had emotional polarities within me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about. Like when there's a word that has like a lot of like emotions in it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mine were in Spanish because I grew up in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So on that part, I will use my custom list and do a custom list in Spanish.
Okay.
And then from there is starting the process, right? Starting the
Mm-hmm.
process of cleaning those up, because those had a lot of emotional, like emotional energy within them.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started cleaning those up, then I started becoming like way more stable
Mm.
emotion. It was
Okay.
a really good point. And I think that's why, and this is just my theory, but I think that's why you kind of notice that when you speak two languages or three or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like you have different personalities in each one.
Yeah.
You kind of have like a personality in English and a personality in Spanish, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's because the one that you grew up in has like more emotional words within it.
Mm-hmm.
When I started to cleaning those up, I realized that my personality became the same in English and Spanish, which was really,
Mm.
that was something that I wasn't expecting. But I'm basically the same person in English and in Spanish. And before that wasn't the case.
Wow. That's interesting that you say that, because I've never thought of that before, but yeah,
Mhm.
it does. And I think it's probably just coming from the limitation, right? You're feeling so
Mhm.
limited in your second language or third or whatever language that um, you don't really feel like you can express yourself and be you, right? So,
Yeah, and that's with a lot of sometimes especially when you learn a new language, sometimes it comes out as even as aggression. Um,
mm,
like experience something, well, not myself, but like I was told a story from a teacher that she said that, so she had this kid, and it was in high school, and it was
Mm-hmm.
like reading time, so it was his turn to read.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked him, can you please read? He's like, no, I don't want to read. So like, okay, please, this is your turn. No, I don't want to read. And at some point, he became aggressive. I
Mm-hmm.
said I don't want to read, like screaming. It's like, okay. So she's like, okay, I'll let it go, right?
Mm-hmm.
Next person. But then at the end, it's like, no, let me go and figure out what's going on with the kid.
Mm-hmm.
And she went and talked to the kid. She realized that he didn't know how to read in English. He was
Mm-hmm.
Hispanic, but he was already in high school. So he got pushed passing the classes, even though he didn't know how to read in English. And then you put him to read in front of his peers
Mm-hmm.
when they might make fun of him. We might like, and apparently this was like a cool kid. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like the least that he really doesn't want people to make fun of him because he's the cool one, right?
Right.
It comes out as aggression,
Mm-hmm.
aggression towards a teacher, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like also you start seeing like the how important it is to have like the communication skills to do it. Because sometimes we just sometimes the aggression of the crying or all that stuff is just simply because we don't have the words to express how we feel, and
Mm-hmm.
we bottle it up until like it comes out.
Right. Wow. And it's one of those things that I think you realize it after you do some stuff for a while, but when you actually hear somebody else say it, it just kind of hits home, right? It's like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, that would be, or if you're trying to bottle everything up for so long too, right? If you're not expressing yourself, it will come out in a different emotion than maybe what you're intending it to be. So,
Yeah, exactly, and that's a new realization too. And it's funny because I share like a little like, short story about me. Like I really like sports, right?
mm-hmm,
And I've been wanting to do boxing or wanted to do MMA for a little bit. I really like boxing,
mm-hmm,
and I was thinking like, okay, I want to do boxing. Maybe I join a gym. I went and saw a gym, and everything looked great, right?
mm-hmm,
But I was like, okay, why do I want to do it? I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying like
mm-hmm,
me personally, why I did it, why I wanted to do it.
mm-hmm,
And the more I thought about it, it was because sometimes if in the line of work that I do, I hear a lot of like sad stories or like
mm-hmm,
uh, really heavy stories, like people that problems with like criminals and somebody did something to them. Like this is immigration is part of it, right?
mm-hmm,
And I realized that I wanted to do boxing because like punching something, doing something physical, kind of in my head release some of that stress.
mm-hmm,
But because of the tools and the support and all that, I realized that at least for me, doing
mm-hmm,
that right now, it was going to be more suppressing what I was feeling.
mm-hmm,
So me like going and punching bags and running around and doing all this, I was more like suppressing, like get away from it instead of like investigating it and
mm-hmm,
becoming stable within those points, within the stories of these people.
mm-hmm,
Because if I become stable within the stories of them and I become equal to them
mm-hmm.
in their story, I can actually help them. If not, I'm just gonna basically just feel what they feel, but that doesn't help them at all.
Right.
Right? It's like, okay, I get you. I
Mm-hmm,
know what you're going through, but now let's figure a way out.
mm-hmm.
So that's really interesting to see that point of like how I was looking for boxing, but as a way out instead of like analyzing it within me.
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people do that, right? Like they look for a way to get out their frustration, get out their anger or the hurt that they're taking on. I mean, especially if they're working with people in situations that they have a lot of trauma, right?
Mhm.
I think they're trying to find some way to release all of that. Um, and maybe they work more hours or maybe they go and, they're super active in other activities or things like that. But I don't think a lot of people think about how to how do I work through this myself?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what I saw. At least, like I said, I'm not saying like exercising or anything like that is bad. Not at all.
Exercise is good. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a big thing that I'm learning. Like your starting point, like your why you do that you do instead of just doing it, right? And we always have a starting point, and you have to develop self honesty, which is hard. Like in reality, why am I doing this? Because I can do all the mental gymnastic and justify it. That everybody can do it. But to be really honest, that's a skill. And once you have that, you can actually direct yourself, which is really important if you want to do better and honestly in this world.
Wow, that is such a valuable lesson right there. And I really want people to hear that and go back and listen to this, because I don't think a lot of people even realize that, right? That they can actually go back and, like you said, direct yourself, and you don't have to be in that responsive way or lack of response. Even maybe for you, it is suppressing something, right? So yeah, what a great lesson.
Especially if it affects your life, right? It's like if you're suppressing it, it's affecting your life in a negative way at some point. So that have a better life, work with us, work with the community, create your community. Let's make this world a better place.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, at one point, I wonder, do you just not even, you don't suppress it anymore? You've worked through the thing it's now, but now it becomes maybe not important to you, right? So then things maybe drop away. That made it, maybe something that would have triggered you before, and maybe it just drops off of you now, like it doesn't affect you anymore. Or maybe it's friends or people that you used to hang out a lot with, and you just, not that you had a fight with them, but you just noticed you just spend less time with them. You talk to them less, right? And I mean, I think that's all tied to because of who we were, and what things we were holding on to, or what traumas or hurts or pains we were allowing to affect us, right? But when you change, I mean, have you noticed like a lot of people change around you, or your relationships have changed as you've gone through, this process? And
yeah, I do notice it. I do notice I less communication with some people, more communication with new ones. Um, but in reality, I don't really think about, at least is my perspective, like leave anybody behind. So I don't think I'm superior or inferior to anybody, like any of my peers. Like we're all equal. Like we all deserve the same level of education. We deserve the same level of emotional stability, and we can help with that. So yeah, I might not talk to some people as much as I want to, but that doesn't mean that because I'm in this path where I'm gonna leave them behind. It's more like, well, I'm here, but hey, let's go. Let's all go together to this, right? Because I feel like that's one of the things that well, I don't know. I'm not saying we as you and me, but in general, as a society, we tend to romanticize the now because I'm getting better, you guys are getting down there because I'm evolving, I'm going up, right? It's not about that. It's really that. I used to think like I used to buy into the whole lone wolf mentality. I think this is just programming for you to not achieve what you need to achieve. Like we work together, we work as a team, we can accomplish so much.
Yeah.
And so those people that I don't talk to right now is not because I don't like you or don't love you. Like I'll come get you. Or you'll come and I'll see you here. But it's not that. Like we're all equal, and I feel like we all deserve the same things.
Yeah, and saying that leaving behind was not like the intention was not that that you don't matter. It was just more like you just kind of they're not the people you talk to all the time, right? They're not the people who are in your world as much, and it may not even because of you. Like you may be trying to reach out to them, and they're just not being as responsive.
Yeah, that's true. So, that is true. Yeah, that tends to happen too. Especially when we don't have the same goal, right? At some point, it's like unfortunately we have a limited time in this world too. So it's like you want to be around what you're focusing on,
Mm-hmm.
and and if it's to help people to make everything better or as much as you can, well, you
Mm-hmm.
tend to talk to the people that want to do the same things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I just found as I've been doing more of the work, it's not so much that I've been, saying, oh, I don't want to talk to these people. I just find that there's less things we can relate to on now.
Hmm.
So
Yeah,
it's not, it's like, yes, we still have a relationship and I'll still, I still try to reach out to them and talk to them, but I just find that it's even coming back to my site. Like they're not calling me. They're not messaging me. Right. And I just feel like it's because we're just relating on so differently now than where we
yeah,
were before. And, yeah.
yeah. That's true. No, that's true. And this, I guess, is like I said, is really depending on the goal, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
like some not not that we're better, superior, or inferior. It's just the goal
Mm-hmm.
is to make this a better, is make this world a better place in reality, right?
Yeah.
Why? 'Cause, like, we're gonna have kids, and that's what we wish our parents did for us, and then
Mm-hmm.
my kids, hopefully, they'll make this world a better place for their kids, and so
Mm-hmm.
on and so forth. And that's really what we're here for.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I mean it really is interesting, like when we talk about relationships and things like this, and how, I mean, now you're talking to people you probably never would have even talked to before.
Hmm.
Right. And
Yeah,
having friendships you probably never, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't think I would have talked to or met most of the people in our group had it not been for this, right? So there'd be no reason for me to meet these people.
yeah,
So
yeah. No, that's true. And like they happen to be some of the like the coolest people too. It's really interesting. They're really
mhm.
funny too.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
it's weird. Sorry, like to interrupt. I was gonna say like one of the things that I always wanted as a kid was to have friends with the same interest,
mhm.
and I guess this is more like dream type of thing, right? Like a dream that I had when I was a kid, because I grew up in Mexico and I grew up playing basketball, and a lot of my
Mhm.
friends like soccer, right? It's just what
Mm.
they, and I always wanted to have a group of friends where I can go and like play basketball with and like consistently, and that's what I have in Houston, which is really weird. It's kind of like when you achieve a dream that you thought you had, but now it's a reality. Like, huh? So I have the friends that I can share with, that support
Mhm.
with, and hang out with, go play basketball with. It's like really cool. And like you said, they're friends that I never thought. If it wasn't for the group, I don't know if I ever like talked to them.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, you'd probably never even be in the same environment as them, or if you were, you wouldn't even, like, it'd be passing in a grocery store or something, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's really interesting. But I do think, like, for, as much as we want to go, like, sometimes we want to go back and change our past and say, well, I wish this hadn't happened, or I wish I had been done this, sooner or whatever. There was a lot of lessons, I think, that I personally learned and I needed to learn. Um, and it's also shaping, a different person, right, than who I was. Because I know in 4 years that I've been in Mexico, I am a different person than who I was when I left Canada.
Yeah.
You know, my whole point of coming to Mexico, though, like, I was never the thought of I'm going to be separate. I wanted to integrate into the culture and into the community. And, my thought was, if I'm going to a country, I should learn their language. I
Hmm.
may not be perfect, but I can make the effort to learn, and I can make the effort to understand their culture, and I can make an effort to really try to be a part of it and not be on the outside all the time. But that was my thought anyway. I mean, even living in Canada, I thought, if you come to Canada, you can have your culture, but learn the Canadian culture. Learn one of the two national languages. Pick one, English or French. Like,
Yeah.
that was kind of my mindset. It's like, I don't care if when you're family and friends, you're speaking your language because that's more comfortable. But if you purposely came to the country, I feel like you should make some effort to learn to be a part of it. Right. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Because it's a new environment, so it just makes it easier on you too. It's
Yeah.
like an outsider, you're like part of it. You can
Hmm.
get places where like if you just use your language, you probably wouldn't, right? It's like you said, like you going to Mexico, is like coming here to America and to the United States, and I mean, you can get away with not learning English,
Mm-hmm.
but what does get away with means? It's like basically you're gonna have the same life that you had in your country, but here
Yeah. Then
it's
why'd you leave?
like might as well like just actually learn it. But also like I understand the people that think, because I was one of them that think that you cannot learn English because I'm already older,
Mm-hmm.
or uh, like I'm ashamed of doing it. But
Mm-hmm.
and that's the point that I'm trying to get across. A lot of people is like, we have the tools, like we can do it. So just reach out, and we'll help you how to do it. Just
Yeah.
learn English, learn whatever language you need to learn. But the
Yeah.
point is to open your natural learning ability so you can learn it the same way you learned when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
That way that you can really like being limitless. I feel it's like, I don't know if you ever watched that movie Limitless.
I did. Yeah. That's a good movie.
That's one of my favorite movies, and it's like I feel like Technotutor is like that pill, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
course, it doesn't work exactly like, well, reach out
Not,
and
not,
use
maybe
works
not as fast, but yes.
that. But the point is like it allows you to do the same things. Or kind of
Mm-hmm.
like in the Matrix, when they connect Neo and then he starts like learning kung fu and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's the machine. It's like these things. Um, so it's really a tool that can help you learn what you need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But then like, when you start learning and you start like processing more information, you realize that the things that you thought were important, maybe they're not as important. There's more
Mm-hmm.
important, which is the interesting part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think when you start getting to that level, you realize, yeah, those things that aren't as important anywhere, but now these other things are much more important, and it's on a bigger scale now. Or at least for me. Maybe not for everyone, but for me it became like, okay, but now this is like what's important, but it's on a bigger scale now. Then it's
Yeah,
not, you know,
yeah,
but
exactly.
yeah. So, well, I want to ask you, I ask everybody this, and I want to ask you, so if you went back to your 10-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
What about honestly? Well, it was in the 90s, but I will say, well, if honestly, if Technotutor existed, I will tell myself, convince your parents to get you Technotutor, right? But let's say Technotutor didn't exist. When I was 10 years old, I wish I would have asked my parents the why of things more instead
Mm,
of like I feel like I got really lucky. I have really good parents, but I wish I would have asked more why. Like,
mm,
okay, let's do this, but why? Like, why is the reason why we're doing? I know we're doing it. I know that you have my best interest in heart,
mm-hmm,
but I just want to understand why we're doing it instead of
mm,
just doing it because I'm your dad.
mm-hmm,
I feel like that way you have more understanding of why you are how you are, and then you can
mm,
direct, right? Like the explanation part.
mm-hmm,
I wish I would tell that to my 10, if I was 10, I said like ask your parents more why. When they give
mm,
you a lesson, ask them why, like their reasoning behind the lesson. That's
mm-hmm,
what I that's what I would have told myself.
mm. Wow, that's important. And I don't think anyone has actually said that yet, to ask the why, and have
Hmm.
an understanding of it. So, and I think that's probably something we can take now in our lives now, and say, but why? And to start
Yeah,
asking, to ask to understand, right?
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Oh, uh, that's fantastic. I love that. So, I mean, Hugo, if you're thinking now about where you are, um, with life, is there anything that you want to, share with people that you haven't, or is there any advice that you want to give to people that you go from here, this, where I am now, this is what I want to say to someone who's maybe new to hearing all of this? Who knows what's going on in their life, right?
Gotcha. Yeah, of course. I'll say it's more specific to the Hispanic community,
Mm-hmm.
right? I will say that, especially if you're in the United States, we didn't come here to survive. We came here to prosper, and we can do it. We just need to work together, increase our vocabulary, and we can actually prosper in this country. And if we prosper here, we can even go to our countries and teach our people how to do it. But we need to work together, and we need to be willing to change. That's what I will say.
Amazing. I love that. Yeah, it's just, I love that because it's not the image of having the American dream is not dead, right? It just really takes some guidance and support with each other to do that, or having the kind of life you want to live. You know, it may not be the typical American dream, but whatever life you want to live, and having that prosperity, whatever that means for you, I think is really important. So what a great lesson. Thank you.
No, thank you, Kat.
Well, I really appreciate your time, Hugo. Thank you so much for joining me here. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person at some point. So, but yeah. I truly appreciate you. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for inviting me and letting me share. This was really cool.